Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, Digital Watchdog, HD Video Surveillance Made Easy. Today we have with us Paul Krofsik and James Somerville from Digital Watchdog. Paul Krofsik is the Director of Education Programs for Digital Watchdog. Paul is a 24-year security professional with experience in design and integration of electronic security solutions, including CCTV, and has been with Digital Watchdog for 22 of those 24 years. James Somerville is the Director of Strategic Accounts for Digital Watchdog. James has spent more than 40 years in the security industry, including operations, manufacturing, distribution, and sales. His previous employers include Honeywell Security Solutions, ADI, Annixter, Triad, OpenEye, and Dedicated Micros. He's been working with PSA organization and its membership since 2002. Digital Watchdog has a lot to share about their latest version of dynamic Digital Watchdog Spectrum IPVMS, new MEGApix CaaS Edge cameras powered by Digital Watchdog Spectrum IPVMS onboard, new MEGApix multi-sensor cameras and cameras with analytics Blackjack NAS devices, and more. During today's webinar, you will see how to get the most from Digital Watchdog's products, unique product features, and valuable programs. My name is Julie Rolls, and I am the training manager with PSA. I will be moderating today's call. I have just a few quick housekeeping items before I hand it over to Paul and James. If you have not done so already, please mute yourself. If you happen to run any questions throughout the course of this presentation, please type them into the question panel, and we'll have time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you happen to run into any technical difficulties, I will also be monitoring chat for this and do my best to get you back up and running should you have any problems. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Paul and James. Gentlemen.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you for that introduction, Julie. This is Jim Somerville. We want to thank everyone who's attending today's meeting, and for those who listen to this recording in the future. Just want to walk through our organization briefly, and then we'll move on into products. Little snapshot of the company. It's Digital Watchdog has been in business now for 31 years. We're one of the leading manufacturers of digital recording solutions, as well as many other products worldwide. Before you is a timeline of different milestones within inside the company. I'm not going to walk you through each one of them, but some of the significant ones are in 1993 that we opened our offices in Tampa, Florida. In 1996, we were one of the first people building PC-based DVRs. 1996, the DW brand, the first PC-based DVR went out. 1999, the DW brand was formed. In 2009, we opened our Los Angeles sales and manufacturing facilities. And then another significant milestone was in 2013 when we introduced DW Spectrum, which we're going to be showing you today. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we've been in business since 1987. Worldwide company. The significance of what this slide is we have manufacturing facilities in the USA, Korea, and Vietnam. All of DW products that we're going to talk about today are in fact engineered by us and manufactured by us. And just a little sidebar note here, there's a lot of discussion going around the industry with certain products emanating and being manufactured in China that have been in fact banned by the U.S. government and others. We are not subject to any of those bans, nor are we subject to any of the impending China, what's the word I'm looking for? Tariffs. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry about that. Next slide, please.
Sure.
Just as an FYI, this is just a snapshot of some of the markets that we serve, everything from education through financial institution, manufacturing. We have various installations, such as installations where people have as many as 5,000 cameras deployed of Digital Watchdogs, all operating on our VMS. We have retail operations that have a neighborhood of 800-900 retail locations. So there isn't a market that we don't serve with respect to the mom and pops liquor store, if you will, all the way up to government agencies. Go ahead, next slide, please. And then as Paul's going to launch into, we've got a complete selection of IP and analog end-to-end solutions, everything from HD over coax to IP solutions, to plug-and-play solutions, to our enterprise class IPVMS solution, which of course is Spectrum. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul.
Hey guys, yeah, just wanted to talk to you about our products and our product offering. So our first product we're going to talk about is our complete analog solution, which means we have cameras and recorders and some software that logs into them. And we're one of the few companies that have what's called universal HD over coax. So our recorders that are HD over coax can talk to the old analog stuff. You know, if you've got an old brand X, whatever, running analog cameras, all the way up to the different brands that run TVI or CVI, or in our case, our cameras AHD. We can send those signals, can be sent to our recorder. We can record them, but also our cameras will adapt to those recorders, so they'll work with them. So there's really no protocol problems anymore. Our cameras will work with other stuff, and other stuff will work with our recorders, and vice versa. So we have some unique products. So first off, we have 2.1 megapixel and climbing. We'll be releasing 3, 4, and 5 megapixel versions of these cameras in the near future. Okay, wide dynamic range, built-in IR cut filter, 180-degree panoramic camera, license plate camera in the 2 megapixel range. That's HD over coax. So if you've got a coax installation, customer had an old license plate camera that went down, you can plug this camera into it and it'll work on their old recording system. Or vice versa, they want to up their resolution, maybe capture a few more license plate because they have a higher res camera. They can opt to put in a HD recorder in order to record the full resolution of that camera. We also have some kind of neat cameras, our HD Flex cameras, which is really 4 cameras in one housing. You can point in any direction, and you can even customize the lens focal length you built into the camera. So you could have one lens that's 4 millimeter, one that's a 2.8, and 2 that say are 8 millimeters focusing in on doorways. So you can do a lot of configuration with the camera, or you can order what I call our canned ones, which we have, I think, 1 or 2 models. One's all 2.8 millimeter lenses, and the other one's all 4 millimeter lenses. So you can order part numbers that are pre-done, or you can order customized part numbers. Customized part numbers take about 5 to 7 days to ship. The pre-order ones may already be in stock or near stock, so they just ship right out to you. Our HD pano camera, it's another one, 180-degree view. This one has a very powerful extra feature. It has a 4th coaxial output, which actually shows you all the cameras stitched together, and you can even run a virtual pan, tilt, and zoom inside that 4th output. And again, might be something we'll do a little software update and show you in the future. Runs 3 4.3 millimeter lenses, and actually gives you a little over 180 degrees. It's like 184 degree view. So really an end-to-end view. You put it in a parking lot, a big hallway, stuff like that. Just a great camera to give you more coverage with high resolution. As I said before, we got a license plate camera. This will be good for cars with speeds up to 50 miles an hour and up to 100 feet. Okay, most cameras cannot be used as LPR. It's very hard to adapt them because their shutter speed is very low. This is designed to be high resolution and high shutter speed, so it can capture the moving vehicles, again, up to 50 miles an hour, from 13 to 100 feet. And again, designed to be outdoor, IP66 certified. And, again, the HD over coax is going to give you that little extra resolution. So if something's a little too far away for your other LPR camera, we're going to be able to pick it up with this model. And all these things can go into our recorder. And again, our recorder will talk to AHD cameras, which is the signal we put out, or it'll talk to the HD TVI stuff, which is a bunch of manufacturers, including some that start with H, and HD CVI, which is companies out of China, including starts with D, along with the older analog infrastructure. You got just some old camera, on the system. Customer doesn't want to give it up, likes the location, hard to change the camera out. You plug it in and it'll still work on our recorder. We have apps for mobile, iOS and Android. We have a Macintosh computer app for up to the latest release, which is like, I think Mojave or something like that. And of course, a PC app that allow you to log into really as many systems as you want. We have one retail partner that has 275 stores, all of them using the what we call our Pivot software to log in and view cameras and download video and record stuff and give it to the authorities and stuff like that, all from a central office. So again, very good recording, universal over coax. And again, for your coax infrastructure, there are millions and millions of miles of coax cables out there that you could just put a camera at one end and this recorder at the other end and save their infrastructure. You know, you don't have to go out and try to rerun cables in some places that are maybe next to impossible to run them. Again, just telling you, we have mobile apps, a Mac app, and of course the Windows app to record. And again, one of the unique features here is a two-way audio. So if you have audio at the site, you can do two-way audio from Pivot to the site. So the next thing we're going to talk about is our Spectrum IPVM. So this is software and servers, okay, along with our MEGApix cameras. So our DW Spectrum is an enterprise level software that doesn't have extra versions, okay? So if you go and look at Exact and you look at Milestone and you look at Genetech and the other ones, they've got what they would consider a corporate version or a light version or whatever, and then you go get their business version or their other version, then they might have an enterprise version. Ours, the enterprise features are standard, okay? We're also open architecture, which means the system is basically open source. And if you guys want more information on that, I can give you very easy information to go look at the actual SDK, because the SDK is actually built into every install of Spectrum. Cross-platform, we support Linux for server and client. We support Apple computers up to, again, the latest version, Mojave, for client, and for Windows, client and server, along with iOS and Android. But also we have Raspberry Pi versions and Banana Pi versions for those real small IoT devices of the server software. Lifetime upgrades included, no annual agreements. So when you purchase a Spectrum system and you've got, whether it's brand X cameras or DW cameras or whatever, we don't charge you a annual fee or a biannual fee or triannual fee for the privilege of calling tech supports and getting updates and stuff like that. We also have built in our DW cloud. So we're going to go into a little bit of this. First, the licensing. We have what's called perpetual licensing. So no one-time fee, no service agreements. There's even special costs for using DW cameras. Certain cameras will have zero cost licensing, and there's a whole bunch of cameras in our line. We have other cameras that if you buy them, there are less expensive cameras, really equivalent of half a licensing. You get to buy two to get one licensing. We have online activation of the licensing and online transfer. No need to contact DW. And this is a record license, not a system license, meaning you can install this software onto a box, okay, onto a PC, let's just say, and be able to log in, view cameras, set everything up. You just can't record. And you get some record license for us and the system will start recording. So it's a very unique setup. The system will operate without licenses. You can go and do setup and do a whole bunch of other stuff. You can live view. You just can't record until you have the record licenses. Now, with DW cameras, you still need the key, but the licenses may be no cost. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You still need a key, still need to put in the activation window and activate license. Okay, if you need to deactivate the license, you'd highlight the license and a button will appear here that says deactivate license. It'll deactivate the license and you can transfer it. No need to call Digital Watchdog, send us an email, send us a fax, none of that stuff. The interface is super easy to use. Okay, you can go in and go from live view to playback seamlessly because you never have to open another window to do playback. You can go in and do instant smart motion search. You can see your, of course, fast forward, rewind, your calendar, all this other, all the other things on the display from one interface, which I'll show you in a second. All right. You can also do mapping, so you can bring in a floor plan of a building and lay out the maps into it, lay out traffic maps if you want, because you could put a web page into Spectrum, or even just put another view where you have multiple sites and then link to multiple sites. All right. Also, we do client-side dewarping. So really anyone's 360 camera, we can dewarp. Doesn't have to be a Digital Watchdog. It can be anybody's, okay? So with that, I'm gonna go in to the Digital Watchdog software and just bring over a IP camera. So this is the Digital Watchdog 9 megapixel camera. And first off, you're going to notice, gotta up the resolution here. First, you're going to notice we do instant dewarp. So you notice there's all curves over here. It straightens out the curves. Okay. We can also drive through the camera and treat it like a PTZ, including creating PTZ presets in the system. So you can actually drive the camera back and forth by presets or on a tour. All right. But also you can view our smart motion search. So I can go over here, click this. I can highlight this area where this camera is. That's one of our Panzilla cameras. And it brings up instantly from October 6th, it looks like, till today. These are all the motion events that happened in that area. And so I can highlight one of them and I can go in and we'll see someone walk by or something like that. Take a second or two to come up. We're actually logging into California Live and doing it. See, so someone walked by here and you see there's no camera there. Someone's going to put someone down there, and I think that's Mark. His head's going to appear right in that spot. And then it's going to go play back the next motion event and the next motion event. So again, super simple interface to work with. Okay. The other thing is we also have mobile apps. Okay. And they're Android and iOS, and they mimic as best they can because of the small screen what's going on in the PC or the Mac version of the app. And they're downloadable from the Apple Store and Google Play, and they're free. Okay. The DW Spectrum Mobile, it's called, will also talk to our Cloud Connect, which we'll talk about right now. So built into Spectrum is the DW Cloud, which allows you to manage users and manage systems remotely. We don't have cloud video storage, and I'm going to use the word yet. We don't have cloud video storage yet. We wanted to keep this as simple, low cost, and secure as possible. And the most secure way was to keep the recording data at the NVR, all right? Keep as much behind a firewall as we can, not put the recorded video up in the cloud, just some management tools up there so you can go in and add, remove users, look at the health of the system, do a few other things without having to actually go to the unit, and the cloud negotiates the differences between them. So you add a new user, the system updates the cloud goes out, sends an email to the new user activates their account, and then they can log into the system. But we try to keep the system behind the firewall. Our NVR is one of the few systems on the market that can pass PCI compliance, which is payment card industry compliance. So if they do a system scan on the network, the NVR doesn't appear as a red flag because we're trying to force open ports and all the other stuff. So the DW Cloud is important for security reasons also. We also have training videos, a bunch of support items on our webpage that we can go in and, you can go in and view and say, how do I set up a user? How do I use that, dewarping? How do I install this? How do I add storage to my system using a NAS? Those are all on our webpage. It's under Digital Watchdog, and you go under support and it says training videos. So on top of having great software, you got to put a server on it. So we make servers for really just about every market. Okay, so we have our Digital Watchdog Mini, which is a small scale fanless application where there's not a lot of room. Okay, in the in the place, it's mom and pop store, it's someone's house, they don't want the thing too noisy. You can view and record up to 12 cameras. Okay, but it's designed to be for small installation. We have the Bolt, which is small business, and by the way, both of these are running Linux. Okay, that will do up to 16 4 megapixel cameras. All right, and you can also view live on the unit, whereas the Mini, you do all your setup and everything via web browser and client. The Cube is up to 64 cameras, and we have a special model that supports very high resolution cameras. We make a 48 megapixel camera, and that's the Cube DL. So we make a model that'll support a few of those high megapixel cameras, along with a large number of other manufacturers' cameras. Then we make our P racks and E racks, which you can deploy for larger installations where you got to do a few hundred cameras. We also make a product called the Client. A lot of end users don't have very powerful local machines. They're running Excel and they're running old versions of Quicken in some cases, so you need something that can handle the higher resolution cameras. So the cameras we're selling now that seem to be on the rise, and it's for obvious reasons because of pricing now, 4 megapixel cameras are on the rise, and 2 megapixel cameras We're not selling as many as we used to because 4 megapixel cameras are just outstripping them. So you need something that's a much more powerful client than a standard PC. So we actually make a client PC that they can log in and view 48 megapixel cameras, 5 megapixel cameras, 12 megapixel cameras, or a whole bunch of 4 megapixel cameras from a station on multiple monitors if they wish. So we also make a product that's a plug and play IP system called the VMAX IP Plus. So this guy, you literally has the PoE switch in it, everything. It uses the pivot interface from the A1 for remote access, but it allows you a little more plug and play. It has a unique feature built into it called DW Mobile Witness. They can download an app from the App Store. Doesn't have any cost to it, so you don't have to worry about that. And you can sync it to the IP Plus, and your phone will become a camera on the system. Okay, so this way, if there's something shady going on inside your business, some cars parked out there, there's people around, you can just take your phone and start recording, hold it up, maybe grab a few license plates, a few shots of people's faces, you know, for later, maybe to show them to the cops. Even if someone goes and smashes the phone, it's not recorded in the phone, it's recorded back at the NVR. So again, some unique features in there, really good. You can do up to 16 cameras with PoE built in, but the 4 and the 8 also have a powerful feature. If you just add a second PoE switch, you can actually do up to 9 cameras on the 4. It'll accept up to 9 channels recording. The 8 will accept up to 12. The 16 is a 16, but you just need to add an extra PoE switch. So let's say you got a customer went out there, all they wanted was 4 cameras. They call you 2 months later, hey, I need 1 more camera over here. It's a blind spot. You add a PoE switch to that, you plug in your other camera, and away you go, you got your 5th camera. So again, 4 will do up to 9, the 8 will do up to 12. So again, very easy to use interface, very similar to the A1 interface that, you know, people seem to like, and very easy to set up. So let's talk a little bit about cameras. So our cameras obviously will deliver up to 30 frames a second. We actually have a model which will do 60 frames a second for anything doing a lot of detail and stuff like that. We make though a 48 megapixel camera, Pano, which has 4 12 megapixel imagers. Okay, and that one will even do 4K at 30 frames a second per imager, up to 32 megapixel resolution stretched across 4 imagers across your live view. We have our Pano camera, very similar to our one that's AHD, which is 3 2 megapixel imagers in a bullet and in a dome. And of course, if you look on our thing, a lot of times, you know, we put stuff at the bottom of our presentations. All of our cameras have a 5-year warranty. All of our servers have a 5-year warranty. So you just got to keep that in mind when you're doing it. We have a longer warranty almost than everyone else. And I think we have the longest warranty. We also make 180 and 360 panoramic cameras. They're really the same camera. If you mount them flat in the wall, they're 180s. And if you put them in the ceilings, they're 360 cameras. And we have up to 9 megapixels, and they have IRs in them, so they work well at night. We have indoor and outdoor models. I would suggest just get the vandal-proof model. They're only a few bucks more and gives you a little extra peace of mind rather than a plastic housing, which would be an indoor-only model. You get the metal outdoor housing even for the indoor because they're flat, they're small anyway. So we also make a product which are cameras that have Spectrum and the recording software built into them. These are our CaaS cameras, and we don't have like one camera that does it. We have a whole line of cameras. We have a license plate camera that's 4 megapixel. That's the same as our 4 megapixel IP camera, but with the software and storage built into it. We have a 360 camera. We've got a varifocal. We've got a couple of fixed domes, all of them 4 or 5 megapixel. Okay, so we don't have anything low end 2 megapixel. We have the LPR that'll do up to 50 mile an hour vehicles. Okay, and actually because it's higher resolution than the 2 megapixel AHD I mentioned before, it'll actually get a little more detail and actually good from a little farther away depending on how you have the camera set up. So again, a powerful product, but these require no server. You plug them into the PoE switch, they start recording. And you use the Spectrum client I showed you earlier to log in and view them. No server needed. Each camera is its own server. Okay, so just got to keep that in mind. This may be one of those sites where you're doing kiosks and mall and it's 2 cameras and there's nowhere to put an extra box. There's just nowhere. Or you're doing a small retail, or someone's got a remote site with a what do I want to say, a gate or something remotely, and they're running it on solar. These are great because these things will run barely 5.5 watts, so they're great for solar installations. They're out of the box. They'll start recording, unlimited scalability. You can do automatic device discovery, and you can do onboard storage. But if you need a little extra storage, you can plug in a NAS, and the system will recognize it, and will go in and start recording to the NAS also. Tech support. So our Digital Watchdog tech support, we have tech support based in Tampa, Florida, Cerritos, California, and for those of you guys in Canada, we even have French tech support. So we have people who respond in French, we have people who respond in Spanish to you. We have an online knowledge base that you can type in some questions and get some answers. It seems to work pretty well. I actually use it occasionally. We of course have our installation videos and a lot of documentation. So technical support we do very well. And for those of you on the East Coast, they get the benefit of being able to call the West Coast up till 8 o'clock at night. On the West Coast, they can call to 5:30. Okay, so again, for the East Coast and Midwest get a little longer than the West Coast time, just because we have the tech support on both coasts. We do project registration for you, which gives you special discounts. Okay, we do some pre-sale support to make sure you got the right configuration, obviously, and of course the size of the project registration amount says on here 5,000, but it's actually for PSA guys, it's actually 2,500. So it's pretty much you can project reg any job and get a special discount on it. All right. We also give post-sale support. So again, we talked about our tech support before. We also have our DW IP camera certification course, which is the one I give. Okay. And we go out and do these live. We do them at different hotels around the country, 26 to 35 times a year, depending on if someone else can do one or two. We're just, again, it's a good way to get hands-on working knowledge of how Spectrum works, how to install a Spectrum system, how to design a system so it works properly when you go out and do your installation. North American support, I can have James speak to that, but you can see we cover and we have either rep firms or Digital Watchdog employees in all of North America. So,
yeah, I'll just chime in on that, Paul. There are roughly 61 people that we have on the streets every single day. All of these individuals are, in fact, expert on all of our products. They're available for presentations inside your office. They're available for job site walks to help you engineer systems. And once again, 61 of them. And this list is published online should you need it. And we've got all the support necessary for your needs.
61 and growing, by the way.
Exactly.
So, do we have any questions?
Yeah, I did have a couple of questions come through. First one, how many camera manufacturers does DW Spectrum support?
You want me to field that one, James?
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Okay. So we support over 4,000 different models of cameras from 300 and change IP camera manufacturers. But we do something kind of unique. If you're plugging in a, shall we say, a no-name or weird brand camera to a Spectrum system, the Spectrum system will decide, hey, oh, this is OnVIF compatible. I can see video. I can do this. I can do this. If 3 or more of those have plugged in, it's actually the information gets transmitted to us, and we add it to our support page. Okay. Now, if you don't want to transmit it to us, there's actually a way to turn that off, but actually add it to our support page. So our support list is live and it grows weekly. We'll get 3 or 4 new cameras on it every week with people plugging in stuff that was oddball brands I've never heard of, but they worked, and it'll say, well, this camera doesn't have audio, so it'll tell you it doesn't have audio, doesn't do this, doesn't do that. So it's kind of a unique way to do it. So we're always adding cameras to our compatibility list.
Wow, that's very impressive. All right, another question came through. Is Spectrum VMS video recorded in the cloud?
No, we don't record video in the cloud yet. We're working on it. We want to find a way, of course, to make it as inexpensive as possible, easy, and of course to create some sort of RMR, right? So the dealer can, maybe get a few dollars from the customer for providing that service for them. And it's just one of the things. It's kind of a struggle to get it so we can get it up, make sure we can get it up to the cloud, because right now there's not a lot of pipes that can support a 48 megapixel camera, drive that video up to the cloud and store it. So that's one of the things we're working on.
Okay. And it looks like I have one more question. What access control systems is Digital Watchdog integrated with?
I can take that one too, James, if you want.
Sure.
So off the top of my head, there might be a couple more. Hartman Controls, ICT, S2, and I know we have KeyScan and what's the other one? KeyScan in the works. We talked to, oh my gosh, I'm just doing it off the top of my head. I'm sorry, Software House. Yeah. And what's the other one out of RBH? So we're working on 4 or 5 others, but right now we have about 5 integrated, and actually our integration partners are actually on our website listed. So I probably missed somebody.
Yeah, and in addition to the access controls that are already integrated, Paul had mentioned in previous slides, this is an open architecture system. So the API and SDK are built into Spectrum. And we have many integrations that take place with point of sale systems, as well as many other interfaces that are written, in fact, by our customers' engineering staff that in some cases we're not even aware of.
Okay, great. Well, that looks like that is all of the questions that we do have for today. If you would like to review this presentation again or would like to pass it along, we will have a recorded version of it posted soon. You can find it by visiting psaeducation.com. Create a free account and get started accessing all of PSA's educational content. Thank you very much to Paul Krofzik and James Somerville of Digital Watchdog. Please visit our website, that's psaeducation.com, to be sure that you're leveraging all that PSA's educational content. This will conclude today's presentation. Thanks again, guys. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.